Kawhi Leonard returning to action. Is he going to shake up the playoff race in the Western Conference? There's a lot going on right now. The Clippers sitting much better than anybody thought they would this season without Kawhi. Now they get him back. Are they ready to make the leap? I'm Trevor Lane. This is the Basketball Bulletin. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Turn on those notifications as well. Joined by Donnie Freeman. Donnie, Kawhi Leonard comes back. This Clippers team, they've been impressive. They've been fun to watch, frankly. Playing great defense, one of the better defensive teams in the NBA so far on the season. In fact, fourth in the NBA right now in defensive rating. What does Kawhi's return mean for them?
Yeah, I think really what it is it depends on what Kawhi we're getting. Is he going to be slowly ramped up, which I'd imagine, they're probably going to have him on a minutes restriction, not try to put the ball in his hands as much as, you'll see later on, things like that. But I think as he gets more comfortable, he gets out there and plays more, we're going to probably see the older Kawhi back, which I think could have pretty big ramifications for this team going forward during the season. So regardless, though, I think that they have, overperformed without him so far up to this point. Also on the heels of losing Paul George. I think James has been awesome this year. I think that they've retooled that roster in a big way, got some great production from other guys like Zubac and from Powell. So I think adding Kawhi to this team that's right in the middle, in the thick of things with this super congested Western Conference could prove to be a big move.
Yeah, I think this is a big addition for them, obviously. Again, it's been impressive what they've done so far this season without Kawhi Leonard. A lot of people, myself included, thought, well, the Clippers are going to be one of the teams to fall out in the Western Conference. But no, look at them. Here they are sitting the 7th seed. They're a game back of the 4 seed right now in the West. They've got a positive point differential of plus 0.5. This is a team, they're 5-5 in their last 10, which in the West, that's probably not good enough in the Western Conference, but they're hanging in there. And now they're going to get their guy back. I mean, they've been playing without Paul George, and he's gone. You've been playing without Kawhi due to injury. Now, I guess the question for them becomes, how much do you buy that Kawhi Leonard is going to be back permanently, or is this going to be just he's back for now? Like, that's the concern. Because I do think if this team's going to make any real noise, they need Kawhi Leonard back and giving them, he's a great defensive player, but they also need the offensive punch that he can provide.
Yeah, this team is one of the better defenses, but they're really subpar offensively. And I really think that he's going to help them in that area. And I think with the way the roster is constructed, he won't have to have a really big defensive load, which quietly he hasn't really performed like the defensive Kawhi we remember for a couple of years here because, he's been slowed down a bit with the injuries and stuff. But the offense, I think, is still there. Last year put up 24 or so points per game. He's so fun to watch because when he gets to a few spots, particularly in the mid-range, he's like automatic and it's just going in. So for him, I'm hoping that he's missed about 30 or so games, 33, 34 games. I'm hoping this is, the last time that he's out, he's able to play the rest of the season. They'll probably, like I said, have him on a minutes restriction. They'll probably not play back-to-backs for a while, if at all, things like that. So I think they're really going to try to manage him out there and try to keep him healthy as they try to make a playoff push. So if they're able to manage him well, again, they've already got a nice head start here, 34 games or so. I think this could be a really massive addition for this team that's, again, performed pretty well without him so far.
Yeah, it feels like no matter what the Clippers try, they've tried everything. They've tried load managing.
This is the one thing they haven't tried. They haven't really had this opportunity, have they? Where he's come back nearly halfway in the season.
Fast forward past Christmas. If Kawhi doesn't play till then everything will be fine. Because they've tried load managing him. He's been the poster boy for load management. That didn't work. He still got hurt. Last season, they said, screw it. Let's just play him then. That didn't work. He still got hurt. I'm not going to buy that he's going to be healthy, but I hope he is because you want to see good players, and he is very much a good player. You look at the stats last season, 24 points, 6 boards, 3.6 assists, 1.6 steals. He was an all-star, 42% from 3. Like, he's a very, very talented player. You just hope that he can finally stay healthy and find a way. Maybe it is just that. It's just skip Christmas and then show up, just like a lot of casual NBA fans start paying attention around Christmas time. Maybe that's the plan here for Kawhi Leonard. I'll tell you what, though, Donnie, this is not the only thing for the Clippers. Getting Kawhi back is huge, but they're also going to be players on the trade market, and they're going to be using not Kawhi, but if Kawhi's back and they feel like, hey, we've got a real shot here, you've got a couple of interesting contracts to potentially move. You've got PJ Tucker, who's an expiring $11.5 million. He's been away from the team. Bones Highland is an expiring $4 million. He can be a restricted free agent, but he seems to be on his way out. So that's $15 million, a little bit more than that you could stack up in expiring deals. So the Clippers could be a team to actually look to add to this roster. One of several teams in the West that can add to this roster. So in theory, in the next month here, the Clippers could get Kawhi Leonard back in action. Again, it's supposed to be back tonight, plus add a player to their rotation, maybe two players, whatever it is, via the trade deadline. So that's something to really watch, where the Clippers could make a big jump up. You get Kawhi back, plus you add another player or two.
Yeah, I think that's going to be pretty massive for this team. Do you think they should try to invest in this team and all that stuff? I know that there's some other reasons why, like, the new arena, all that stuff. Do you really think that they should take this team and try to invest in it going forward, especially if they don't land a big piece like a Jimmy Butler or something like that?
Yeah, within reason, I think they should. And maybe they could go after Jimmy Butler. I mean, you've got some salaries there. Norman Powell's been phenomenal for them. So I'd be hesitant to trade him. But I mean, you'd have to stack up a few guys. It would have to be Powell, Tucker. You'd have to be looking at Terrence Mann. I mean, you'd have to stack up some salaries in order to go after Jimmy and his $48 million and change contract, nearly $49 million. But I do think that they could be a player out there on the market. And I think this team is good enough, especially defensively. Look, defense wins championships. I think this team is good enough defensively to where they can make some noise if they add the right piece. I know they're in the market for another backup big. They could find something there, and I'm sure they'll be opportunistic trying to add other pieces. James Harden has been great, but he's 35. If the Clippers feel like if lightning strikes and you can get Kawhi healthy, Harden healthy, Ivica Zubac has been one of the better bigs in the NBA. Rebounding-wise, he's been one of the best. He's actually looked like a bargain on the contract extension they gave him. You've got some interesting pieces here. They could talk themselves into, hey, new arena. We've got guys who are playing well. If we want to roll the dice one more time that Kawhi is going to stay healthy, go find somebody to come in right now, and we're off and running. Maybe they could have something there. I think, Donnie, it's going to take either getting a big-time player or like two really, really solid pieces for the Clippers to make a run. Mm-hmm. But there's something here. I wouldn't put it past them to make that. But you just, like, Steve Ballmer is the type to try to make that kind of big move too.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking while you were talking about it. I was kind of thinking, like, Steve, he may just, want to make a move like that. So I think that's definitely worth considering. But even if it's not Butler, if they were out there to try to get some of the other guys on the market that are, in that area, like Brandon Ingram, for example, do they potentially try to buy one of those guys, something like that? I know we look at PJ and like, okay, well, what can they do with him specifically? But they could aggregate a few of these salaries probably and try to make a move for a more flashier name. And I think that could be useful because you keep a lot of your defensive core on this team with guys like Chris Dunn, Derek Jones Jr., Zubac back there protecting the rim. I think you can keep a lot of your defensive core, but add more firepower, which is the main thing this team is lacking. Obviously, adding Kawhi, like we've already talked about, will help in that regard. I think he'll have less of a defensive load, which will allow for him to put more effort and energy on the offensive end. But I think they could still use another creator and get more firepower on the offensive end. So there's a number of guys in the market that could do that they could potentially be in on.
Now, the one challenge for them, they don't have much draft capital to work with on the market. Look at 2025 for OKC owns their future. OKC
that makes Ingram a prime one, though, because they're going to just kind of lose him for nothing. Like, if you can get, like, I don't know, expiring deal in PJ, maybe a younger player you can try to build around. I don't know who that is, but they're going to just lose him for nothing. It doesn't seem like anybody else really is trying to buy Ingram either.
Well, that's just it. Like, if there's no team out there with cap space that wants to pay Ingram this summer, the Pelicans can just say, well, you still need us to sign and trade you somewhere if you want to get to a contending team. But a lot of the future draft capital is tied up for the Clippers. They do have some flexibility there, but not much. They've got a lot of pick swaps and things like that are going out there. But as you're talking about, like Brandon Ingram, if push comes to shove, and the Pelicans are saying, well, we don't want to give you your next contract. Maybe there's something there. Maybe you do. Could you stack up PJ Tucker, Bones Highland? That's 15 million. You got to get to what, 35, 36. So now we're talking Norman Powell and off you go. And the Pels can say, well, we get Norman Powell, and then whatever kind of draft capital the Clippers can cobble together. Maybe there's something there, and you go Kawhi, Harden, Ingram, although Ingram might upset the defensive balance of that team. But still, the bottom line is I think the Clippers will make some type of creative moves like that, especially if they get a healthy Kawhi from tonight until the trade deadline, which is February 6th. I think that's going to give them that much more incentive to go ahead and make that all-in move and say, you know what? The West, it's wide open. Why not us? Why not? Why can't we be the team to make the run this year?
Yeah, and they've got, according to Tankathon, the 14th schedule remaining. So they're like right in the
That's
middle.
not bad.
Like
For the West, that's not
have
bad.
yeah, absolutely. They are right in the middle. They've got opportunities to really see what this team can do. And they've already played several of the toughest teams in the league at least once already. So there's this ending of the season is going to be pretty interesting for them. Getting Kawhi back, today against the Hawks. They've got the Timberwolves and Nuggets next. So there's going to be a few games here, especially they got the Lakers in a couple weeks here. It's going to be a few games here to see what you have with Kawhi in this current build of the roster. But like we said earlier, I think that they really did a great job rebounding this roster and just rebuilding it in terms of like defense, adding in the pieces that they did. And it's really allowed for them to be a team that's, I think, overperformed according to a lot of people's expectations.
Absolutely. They definitely have. We'll see what they can do in the trade market. And welcome back, Kawhi Leonard. Go check out our latest video all about the Jimmy Butler situation. I'll put that one up on the screen right now. So go check that one out.